Hello, I'm Robert, and today I'm here to teach you guys how to use Baitcaster. With Corona and quarantine really setting us in, we're really looking for new hobbies to take our mind off of that quarantine stress. One thing you can learn is how to fish with a Baitcaster. Now, to learn, you're obviously, number one, going to need a Baitcaster. Right here, I have an SLX DC $200 reel. There are more entry-level reels, but I'll get into that later. Fishing pole with fishing line and something to cast. I'm using a jig because I like using a jig to cast so I can get better accuracy on what weight I like to throw. But if you don't want to get it caught up in the grass, you can use a little sinker just like this. So once you have all of your items, you really just got to break into the reel and learn about it before you really get to it. So one thing about a Baitcaster is that if not done correctly, you can bird's nest it. And basically, a bird's nest is whenever there's an overrun of line on your spool, like so. Like that. Now that's a mess, and sometimes they can get so bad that you have to cut all the line off your reel. But once you get a little bit better and you learn the breakings on your reel, you can eliminate that entirely. Now, one thing to learn about your Baitcaster is the braking systems. The biggest braking system you have with this reel is on you. That's your thumb. You're going to want to let that thumb ride along the spool throughout your cast so you get more smooth and a less chance of backlashing. Now, on the SLX DC, there's a little digital chip in here that controls the braking. So let's say I set it to 3, it'll put on that amount of brakes. There's 4 brakes, and once you turn up 3, you get 3 brakes. Another braking system is spool tension. That basically tightens down the spool and lets out how much line you want. So, how I like to set my spool tension is just for this bait. Whenever I click the Baitcaster open, let it drop. And if it hits the ground without backlashing, you got it just perfect. Now, another good way to tell that your Baitcaster is set up correctly, if you're a beginner, you take it and you cast it out with one hand, and if there's no bait backlash, you're golden. Now, let's get into the casting of a Baitcaster. Whenever you're casting your Baitcaster, you really want to have control of the rod and reel in your hand. Hold it how it feels comfortable. I'm using a technique called palming it, which is basically what the name implies, holding the reel in the palm of your hand. Now, while casting, some people will like to do this. That doesn't give you good control, because the way a rod is balanced, if you hold it like this, you'll get more forward momentum, sometimes leading into a really bad backlash. So if you palm it like so, and you just nice easy cast, you're set. Now, while you're casting, you really don't want to quickly jerk it like that. 1, you run the risk of breaking your rod, and 2, you run the risk of not having it timed correctly, having it spike the ground, or just lobbing it straight up in the air. So when you're casting, the easiest cast for beginners is side on. Nice and easy. You don't have to time it or nothing. All you got to do, click the engage button on your reel, click that down. Now the spool will drop. Get ready for that. Hold on. Click it down, and when you're casting, let go of the spool right whenever your rod is directly in front of you. So 1, 2, 3, and you got a good cast going. Now I'd suggest practicing this a lot. One of the greatest things about practice is that you don't have to be on the water. As you can see, I'm all the way out here in my backyard doing it. You can do the same. Just be careful of trees, stuff like that. Also, wind. Wind can affect your reel as well. So I choose to practice on not very windy days, but you can also use that to your advantage. Because not always out on the water will you have a perfect day. You always have wind, you'll have rain, whatever that day entails. So, just keep practicing, use different things to your advantage. Like I said, about this reel. This reel was about $200. That's why it has the digital chip inside of it. But there are more entry-level reels with different braking systems. This one is the easiest to use. So thank you very much for watching.